Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. And today we'll be discussing the NCERT practice questions for the chapter Ecosystem. This is the disclaimer. So today we'll be talking about the basic concepts related to the chapter Ecosystem. We will understand these concepts by working through NCERT practice questions. So these questions, they are based on some concepts. We'll discuss these concepts by discussing NCERT practice questions. Let's begin with the first question. First question is, which ecosystem has the maximum biomass? So we have four options. You have to select the correct answer from these options. So first is forest ecosystem, second is grassland ecosystem, third is pond ecosystem, and fourth is lake ecosystem. So what will be the correct answer? Correct answer is option number A, forest ecosystem. So let's have a look at the answer. The forest ecosystem has the maximum biomass because the forests are densely packed with living things, from producers to top predators and decomposers, and these are all living in complex overlapping web. This means that within a given area, the combined mass of all these organisms is incredibly large. The forest ecosystem consists of producers, consumers, as well as the decomposers. Now, forests are very efficient at converting sunlight into organic matter through the process known as photosynthesis. Because of favorable conditions like good soil and abundant water, forests can produce a large amount of new growth annually, which forms the base of the food web and drives biomass accumulation. Unlike ecosystems with short-lived producers, like phytoplankton in the ocean. So phytoplankton, they have a very short life cycle. They are the producers in the aquatic ecosystem. So forests are dominated by large, long-lived trees that can accumulate biomass for hundreds of years. This continuous growth results in a massive, stable biomass at the producer level, forming the heavy foundation of the forest biomass pyramid. Next question, the primary productivity of an ecosystem is maximum in. So let's have a look at the option. First option is tropical rainforest, second is temperate forest, third one is grassland, and fourth is the desert ecosystem. So what will be the correct answer? So option number A is the correct answer, tropical rainforest. Let's have a look at the answer. So tropical rainforests have the most favorable conditions on land for plant growth, leading to very high rates of photosynthesis and biomass production. They receive a large amount of sunlight and rain year round, while plants need for growth. Okay, so plants need sunlight and water. They need rainfall for growth. So this combination allows for a consistently high rate of new plant material generation. Now the sheer amount of biomass produced in tropical rainforest is substantial. Okay, it is substantial, which with studies showing an average of 2200 gram per square meter per year. The presence of multiple canopy layers with many different type of plant growing at different heights also contributes to their high productivity by maximizing the amount of sunlight captured. At the end of the spectrum, you can say, clear? We talk about the deserts. Clear? So deserts have a very low primary productivity. Although they receive plenty of sunlight, the severe lack of water severely limits the plant growth. The harsh dry conditions prevent plants from efficiently photosynthesizing and creating biomass. resulting in much lower productivity compared to tropical rainforest. Now let's discuss next question. So which of the following ecological pyramid is always upright? So options are pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy, and none of the above. So what will be the correct answer? So option number C, pyramid of energy, is the correct answer. Let's have a look at the explanation. Now pyramid of energy shows the total energy at each level of the food chain. Now because energy is lost at every step of the food chain, the base, which are the producers, will always have the maximum energy. And the top, you can say trophic level, which is occupied by the, you can say, the top predators, which are the consumers, will have the least amount of energy. This ensures that the pyramid of energy is always wider at bottom and narrower at the top. Okay, so whenever there is a transfer of energy from producers to consumers, only 10% of the energy is being transferred. 90% of the energy is lost in the form of heat. So you can see about 10% of energy is transferred to the next trophic level, while 90% is lost as heat. That's why pyramid of energy is always upright. Next question, the process of cycling of phosphorus in an ecosystem is? So options are gaseous cycle, sedimentary cycle, seasonal cycle, and biological cycle. So what will be the correct answer? Option number B, sedimentary cycle. Let's have a look at the explanation. So phosphorus is primarily locked away in rocks and marine sediments. It's a heavy element and does not naturally exist as a gas that can enter the atmosphere in significant amount. This is the key reason why it is classified as a sedimentary cycle, which mainly involves the movement of elements through the solid parts of the earth. The biological part of the cycle happens much faster than the geological part. Plant absorb phosphate from the soil. Animal then get phosphorus by eating the plants or other animals. When plants and animals die, decomposers return the phosphorus to the soil. Now the largest store of phosphorus on earth is in the minerals found in the rocks. It stays locked in these rocks for very long periods. Weathering and erosion are the slow processes that release these phosphates into the soil and water, making them available for the ecosystem. Now, the lack of gaseous phase is what truly defines the phosphorus cycle as sedimentary. This contrasts with cycles like carbon cycle, where carbon dioxide is in the air, and nitrogen cycle, where nitrogen gas is abundant in the atmosphere. Next question, what is the role of detritivores in an ecosystem? So let's have a look at the options. So option number is primary production, B is secondary consumption, C is decomposition of dead organic matter, and D is fixing atmospheric nitrogen. So what will be the correct answer? Answer is option number C, decomposition of dead organic matter. So let's have a look at the answer. Now detritivores are consumers that feed on the detritus, which is non-living organic matter like dead plants, animals, and waste products. By eating this material, they start the process of breaking it down into smaller, simpler pieces. This process is essential for returning nutrients to the ecosystem. Detritivores are a diverse group that includes everything from large earthworms to microscopic bacteria and fungi. They all work together to break down dead material and recycle the valuable nutrients that are locked inside it. This ensures that essential elements such as carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus are not permanently trapped in dead organisms. Now, the work of detritivores ensures that the food chain can continue indefinitely. By breaking down dead organic matter, they return simple inorganic nutrients to the soil. These nutrients can then be taken up by the roots of the plant, which are the primary producers. This allows plant to grow and support the entire food web, completing the nutrient cycle. Without detritivores, the ecosystem would be buried in waste and the nutrient cycle would grind to a halt. Let's discuss next question. So, which ecosystem shows the maximum decomposition rate? So, options are Arctic tundra, tropical rainforest, temperate grassland, and desert. So, what will be the correct answer? Let's have a look at the answers. Option number B, tropical rainforest, is the correct answer. Let's have a look at the explanation. Now, decomposition is the process where dead organic matter is broken down, and the rate of decomposition is heavily influenced by the environment. Now, tropical rainforests provide an ideal climate with consistently high temperatures and abundant moisture. Clear? Now, these conditions are perfect for decomposer organisms to thrive and work quickly. Now, you can see the fast decomposition rate in tropical rainforest leads to very efficient nutrient cycling. Any nutrients released from decaying matter are almost immediately taken up by the plants. Here, now this rapid recycling is why the soil is in these lush forests is often not very fertile, and explains why the forest floor can sometimes appear bare with little leaf litter buildup. Okay, the rate of decomposition is dependent on the temperature, moisture, and the chemical constituent of the detritus. So, in warm temperature and in moist conditions, the rate of decomposition is fast. Okay. Now, the term standing crop refers to. So, you have the option total number of crops in a field. Next is biomass present at a given time. Then annual crop production. And the option number D is number of standing trees. So, what will be the correct answer? So, answer B is the correct answer. Biomass present at a given time. This is the correct answer. Now, standing crop represent the total amount of living biomass present in an ecosystem at a specific time. Now, standing crop is not limited to a single species or trophic level. It accounts for all the living components of the ecosystem. It can be measured for the entire ecosystem or broken down by trophic levels to show the biomass at each step of the food chain. By measuring the standing crop at different times or in different places, ecologists can understand how biomass is distributed and how it changes over time. Now, this information is crucial for studying energy flow because it shows how much living material is available at each level of food chain to support the next. Next question is, in a food chain, the second trophic level is always occupied by. So options are producers, herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers. So what will be the correct answer? So option number B, herbivores, is the correct answer. Let's have a look at the explanation. So in any food chain, the first trophic level is always composed of the producers, which are organisms like plants that create their own food using energy from the sun. The next level, the second trophic level, is occupied by herbivores, which are animals that exclusively eat these plants. Because they are the first consumers in the food chain, feeding directly on the producers, they are always positioned at this second level. So the second trophic level is occupied by the herbivores, also known as the primary consumers. In a food chain, the second trophic level is always occupied by the herbivores. Okay. They directly eat the primary producers, which are the plants, and they form the link between producers and the carnivores, helping to transfer energy through the ecosystem. Okay, so next question, which of these represents a grazing food chain? So we have the four options. You have to select the correct answer from these options. Option number B is the correct answer here. Grass, rabbit, fox, and lion. So let's have a look at the explanation. Now, the grazing food chain is characterized by its beginning. It will always start with green plants or other photosynthetic organism that can create their own food using sunlight. These organisms are known as producers. They form the base of the entire food chain. After the producer, the next step in a grazing food chain involves herbivores, which are animals that eat the producers. These herbivores are also known as primary consumers. After that comes the carnivores, which are animals that eat the other animals. These are known as the secondary consumers. They eat herbivores. And then you have the tertiary consumers that eat other carnivores, or they are omnivores. Okay, so you can see that's why option number B is the correct answer. Grass, they are the producers. Then rabbit, it is a herbivore. It is consuming grass. And then fox, this is the secondary consumer. It is a carnivore. It is eating the herbivores, which are primary consumers. Then lion, this is the top predator. It is occupying the fourth trophic level. Okay, these you can say they are also known as the tertiary consumers. So along with the practice question, we'll also be discussing the mock questions. Okay. So let's begin with the first question. So first question is, which diagnostic test is widely used for detecting HIV infection? Okay, you have four options: Vidal test, ELISA, MRI scan, and PCR. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, here option number B, ELISA, is the correct answer. ELISA is used for the detection of HIV, which cause AIDS. ELISA is basically based on antigen and antibody reaction. Okay, so whenever a pathogen or antigen enters the body, antibodies are created against it. Next one, which climatic factor most significantly regulate the rate of decomposition? So options are wind speed and humidity, temperature and soil moisture, atmospheric pressure and sunlight, and rainfall and altitude. So what is the correct answer? Okay, option number B, temperature and soil moisture. This is the correct answer. So rate of decomposition depends on the temperature as well as the moisture level. So in warm temperatures and when the moisture is adequate, then the rate of decomposition will be high. The next one, detritus rich in lignin and chitin decomposes slower because. So options are, these materials are water soluble. Next one, they lack complex organic matter. The next one, they are resistant to microbial degradation. And the last one is, they enhance microbial activity. So what will be the correct answer? Option number C is the correct answer here. They are resistant to microbial degradation. So detritus is rich in lignin and chitin. These are quite complex molecules. They are not easy to degrade. And generally the microorganism, they do not have enzymes to degrade lignin and chitin. That's why correct answer is option number C. They are resistant to microbial degradation. Next, which process releases inorganic nutrients into the soil from humus? Options are leaching, mineralization, humification, and fragmentation. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, option number B, mineralization is the correct answer. Okay, this is the last step of decomposition. Okay, here what happens? Finally, in decomposition, what happens? The organic compounds are converted into inorganic nutrients. So in the last step, mineralization, the organic matter, the organic compounds in the humus, they are broken down, okay, to form inorganic nutrients. And these inorganic nutrients, they are added into the soil and they can be absorbed by the plants. Next question is, humus is characterized by being. So options are easily decomposable and rich in nitrogen. Then colloidal, amorphous and resistance to microbial action. Then water soluble and rapidly mineralized. And the last option is high in lignin and chitin content. So what will be the correct answer? Option number B will be the correct answer. Humus is colloidal, it is amorphous and it is resistant to microbial action as well. So humus, it degrades very slowly. That's why it acts as a reservoir of nutrients. It is rich in nutrients and it maintains the soil fertility because it is being decomposed very slowly by the microorganisms. Next question, which plant is the source of cannabinoids? So options are Papaver somniferum, Cannabis sativa, Erythroxylum coca, and Datura stramonium. So what will be the correct answer? Option number B will be the correct answer here. Cannabis sativa. This is the correct answer. Next one, what is the primary reason for the statutory warning on cigarette packets? So what will be the correct answer here? You have four options. First option is to reduce production cost. Next is to comply with international laws. Third is to warn about health risk. And the last one is to discourage underage sales. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, so cigarette consists of tobacco and tobacco can cause cancer. It can even cause lung cancer. So here the correct answer will be option number C, to warn about health risk. Now next question, which neurotransmitters transport is interfered with by cocaine? So options are serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine and GABA. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, the correct answer will be option number B, dopamine. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Its transport is interfered by the cocaine. So what happens? There is a accumulation of dopamine in the synapses region, in the synaptical cleft region, and the neurotransmitters they keep on you can say get activated by this dopamine. So you will feel more energetic because of this. Next question is, which of the following is a long-term effect of anabolic steroid misuse in females? So options are reduced body hair, deepening of voice, decreased aggressiveness, and enlarged ovaries. So what will be the correct answer? Here option number B, deepening of voice, will be the correct answer. So anabolic steroid, they are testosterone like. So what testosterones do? Okay, in males, it leads to deepening of the voice. So in females also, if these anabolic steroids, which are similar to testosterone, if they are used for long term, then they can cause deepening of voice in females. Which next question is, which organization is in India is responsible for AIDS control initiatives? So options are WHO, NACO, UNICEF, or ICMR. What will be the correct answer? Option number B will be the correct answer here. National AIDS Control Organization is the correct answer. Next one, Vidal test is used to confirm which disease? So options are malaria, typhoid, pneumonia, and elephantiasis. What will be the correct answer? Okay, so Vidal test is used to confirm typhoid. So typhoid is caused by a bacteria Salmonella typhi, and Salmonella typhi affects the small intestine. Okay, so in typhoid, small intestine is affected, and and the person will have constipation, abdominal pain, and loss of appetite. Next one, which cells are primarily targeted by HIV in the human body? So they are asking that HIV virus targets which cells in human body. So options are macrophages and helper T lymphocytes, then red blood cells, B lymphocytes, and the epithelial cells. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, option number A will be the correct answer here. Macrophages and helper T lymphocyte. So what happens when HIV, which is a retrovirus, it has RNA as a genetic material. When it enters the human body, first of all, it targets the macrophages. And then finally, it will target the T helper lymphocytes. So slowly what happens, the number of these two cells, they keep on decreasing and the person becomes immunocompromised. Next question, AIDS is caused by which type of virus? So options are retrovirus, rhinovirus, bacteriophage, and adenovirus. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, retrovirus will be the correct answer. Retrovirus means which has RNA as the genetic material. Okay. So AIDS is caused by HIV, which is a retrovirus, means it has RNA as the genetic material. Next question, which cells are responsible for production of antibodies in the humoral immune response? So options are T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, macrophages and natural killer cells. What will be the correct answer? Your option number B is the correct answer here, B lymphocytes. So B lymphocyte, they produce antibodies. Okay, T lymphocyte, they help in the production of the antibodies from the B lymphocytes. Okay, then this antibody can target a particular antigen. Which lymphoid organ is the site of maturation for T lymphocytes? So options are bone marrow, spleen, thymus and lymph nodes. So what will be the correct answer? Here option number C will be the correct answer here, thymus. Okay, so T lymphocyte, they mature in thymus. So we have primary lymphoid organ and secondary lymphoid organs. So primary lymphoid organ are bone marrow and thymus. Okay, so in thymus is the site of maturation of the T lymphocytes. Now when you can say in adults, the thymus, the size of the thymus keeps on decreasing. That's why the immunity is also affected. The immunity goes down because the size of the thymus is decreasing, and you can see here thymus is the site of maturation of the T lymphocytes. Next one, what type of immunity is conferred to a newborn through colostrum? So options are active immunity, passive immunity, autoimmunity and cell mediated immunity. What will be the correct answer? Here option number B will be the correct answer here, passive immunity. Okay, so in passive immunity, what is being done? So ready-made antibodies are introduced into the host. Okay, so that's why it is very quick, but it is not long lasting. So colostrum, which is mother's milk, which is produced during the initial days after the childbirth, this is very nutritious, this is thick, this is yellowish in color. It consists of antibodies also like immunoglobulin A. So these antibodies, they are transferred into the newborn during breastfeeding. Okay, clear. Now some antivenoms, they also consist of antibodies against the snake toxin. Okay, snake poison. Clear. So these are example of passive immunity. Then you have active immunity. In active immunity, the body's immune system is activated. Okay, whenever the pathogen enters the human body, then the immune system generates a response against this pathogen. So antibodies are being produced here. So it takes times for the production of antibodies, but this type of immunity, this is long lasting because here memory cells are being produced. Then you have autoimmunity. In autoimmunity, what is happening? The body is not able to recognize between self and non-self, and it start attacking its own cells. Okay, for example, rheumatoid arthritis. It is an example of autoimmune disorder. Then we have cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity, basically it is responsible for organ rejection. Okay, Cell-mediated immunity involves T cells, which are involved in organ rejection. Okay, here correct answer is passive immunity. Next one, elephantiasis is caused by. Elephantiasis is also known as filariasis. This is caused by filarial worm. So options are Ascaris lumbricoides, Wucheria bancrofti, Antamoeba histolytica, and Trichophyton species. So what will be the correct answer? Option number B is the correct answer here. So filariasis, also known as elephantiasis, this is caused by filarial worm known as Wucheria bancrofti. So this filarial worm, this usually, you can say, affects the lymphatic vessels, and it causes swelling in the lower limbs. Okay. Now next one, which of the following disease is transmitted through the bite of female Anopheles mosquito? So options are Ascariasis, malaria, ringworm, or pneumonia. What will be the correct answer? Okay, answer is option number B. Malaria is the correct answer. So the female Anopheles mosquito, this is the vector for the transmission of malaria. So basically it transmits the pathogen, which is plasmodium. So malaria is caused by plasmodium. So this plasmodium is, you can say, transmitted to another person when the female Anopheles mosquito bites that healthy person. Okay, so plasmodium has a very complex life cycle. It has two hosts. It requires human host, and the other host is female Anopheles mosquito. And female Anopheles mosquito, this is also acting as a vector here. Okay, so the plasmodium enters into the human body whenever the female Anopheles mosquito bites that person, and it enters in the form of sporozoids, which is the infectious form of this pathogen. Then these sporozoids, they will multiply in the liver cells. Okay, and then they will finally enter RBCs. They will multiply there, and within the RBCs they will form gametocytes. Gametocyte is the sexual stage. Okay, and then what happens, this gametocyte, they are transferred into the female Anopheles mosquito again. So whenever the female Anopheles mosquito will bite this infected person, this gametocyte will enter into the gut of the female Anopheles mosquito. In the gut there will be fertilization, and after fertilization sporozoids are produced. These sporozoids will migrate to the salivary glands of female Anopheles mosquito, and then again whenever this infected female Anopheles mosquito will bite a healthy person, the sporozoid will again get transmitted to that healthy person. Next one, which type of immunity is characterized by memory and specificity? So options are innate immunity, acquired immunity, cytokine barriers, and physiological barriers. So what will be the correct answer? Okay, so option number B, acquired immunity, will be the correct answer here. So what happens in acquired immunity? Whenever the antigen, whenever the pathogen enters the human body, a response is generated by the immune system. So here memory cells are being produced, B cells and T cells are produced. Okay, and whenever there is subsequent attack by the same pathogen, then there is a heightened immune response. This heightened immune response is because of the memory cells, and this is quite specific also. Okay, but it is long lasting because of the memory cells. Okay, but it takes time, but it is long lasting. It takes time to become active. The next one, which of the following pathogens cause typhoid fever in humans? Options are Plasmodium falciparum, Salmonella typhi, Antiamoeba histolytica, and Wucheria bancrofti. What will be the correct answer? Okay, option number B, Salmonella typhi is the correct answer. This is the bacteria which cause typhoid fever. This bacteria affects the small intestine and the person will have constipation, abdominal pain, and loss of appetite. Now, Plasmodium falciparum causes malaria. Antiamoeba histolytica, this causes a disease known as amoebiasis, also known as amoebic dysentery. And Wucheria bancrofti, this causes filariasis, also known as elephantiasis. Okay, so with this, we have discussed the mock test question also. Okay, so all our answers are correct. So I hope your concepts are clear now. Okay, so with this, we will end this session. I hope the session was quite knowledgeable for you. We'll meet you in the next session. Thank you very much for listening.